Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so this is going to be my very first video about cooking. So tonight I'm making my beautiful wife some fish, scallop potatoes, and peas. Now, for the fish, I've got 3 tilapia here. Now, typically what you can do is you could use just about any fish fillets for the recipe I'm going to be using. Now, it's a little unorthodox, but what I did was I took a little bit of Nature's Promise organic white balsamic vinaigrette, a little bit of Marzetti's roasted garlic Italian vinaigrette, and a little bit of Wishbone's Ristorante Italiano garlic parmesan vinaigrette. I put them all into a bowl, mix them up. Now what I'm going to do is I make a personal seasoning. I usually use a little bit of basil, some garlic powder, a little bit of dried onion, some dried garlic, and salt, pepper, and a little bit of a Szechuan seasoning to go ahead and give it a little bit of a zesty flair. So we're going to take it, we're going to go ahead and just sprinkle it on all over. We're only going to do it on one side, and the reason for this is that by doing just the one side, we're giving it just enough flavor so that the rest of it can soak in. So rubbing it in gives it a little bit more of a zesty kind of feel. You're going ahead and kind of doing it to the fish like you would to, say, a steak. So, I've got that. Next, in this little bowl here, you might think that it is butter, but in reality it is a little bit of orange juice, a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of kiwi juice, as well as a little bit, tiny bit of vinegar. Now, the reason I'm doing that is that as it's cooking, towards the end, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drizzle it over the top to give it a light citrusy finish. Now, over here we have got the griddle. I've got it heating up. It's got a little bit of butter on it for now. So let's go ahead and get to the heart of the matter. We're going to take one of the fillets. We're going to go ahead and gently put it into the mix of the vinaigrette. We're going to stir it around. By giving it that moment to go ahead and sit with the dry rub, you're ensuring it to stick in the long term. We're going to gently remove it from that. We're going to let it drip for a moment. We're going to move it over here and put it right on. That sounds beautiful. Now, you only want to cook it like this for about 5-6 minutes on each side. Once the first one is done, you're going to flip it and go ahead and continue it. It's going to make it real nice. Now remember, it's officially done once it goes ahead and turns white and flaky. If it's not white and flaky, it's not done. So, we're going to do that, and while that's cooking, I'm going to come over here to my saucepan. Now, I'm following just a box recipe for this. However, if you're smarter than me and you know how to make it, by all means, go ahead. And please, send me a link or something on how you did it, so that I know, so that I get better as well. Now, I always like experimenting with new foods, new cuisines, new ideas. Nothing is ever really truly the same. Every time I cook, I always go ahead and add extra. I do a little something different. The reason behind this is so that my family and myself get something unique each and every time. Now, what we're cooking tonight for this is extremely healthy. By doing so, we're going ahead and making sure that we're hitting the proper calorie limits and everything else. Now the water back here is going to be set to boil. I'm putting it on medium-low, so that way it goes ahead and boils slowly, but not quickly. I've got a little bit of butter inside, so that way it goes ahead and adds a little bit of a salty, oily feel without going ahead and adding oil. Now, most times I would, and normally I would post this video with everything the normal way. However, unfortunately, my wife this morning decided to go ahead and make a delicious breakfast and used up the rest of the oil. I just figured that out about 5 minutes before I started this video. So, let's continue then, shall we? Fish is starting to look nice. Let's turn off the light up here, see if it changes anything. There we are. So as you can see right there, it's still pink on the top. It's only been in there for about a minute, maybe 2. But you can definitely see around the edges where it's starting to turn a little white. That's something really nice. You can definitely see it. It smells delicious and divine. So, with that being the case, I'm going to go ahead and stir these again. Once they boil, I can go ahead and turn them to simmer, let the sauce thicken, yada yada. Now I'm going to go ahead and go over and put the peas up there. Now, the thing I'm going to tell you this real quick is that for the peas, a lot of people say, well, you just want to put them in while it's boiling and that yada yada. No. So here's my thing. The peas, those are the peas. They're frozen. Now, my theory is, if you put them in before it goes ahead and starts to boil, that way it goes ahead and has a chance to go ahead and slowly heat up with the water. By doing so, you're guaranteeing that it's fully cooked inside, versus tossing them in with their boiling, yada yada, you have to wait a few minutes, etc., etc., you pull them out and they're not done completely. Now, another nice thing about this is, sometimes, and I really like it when it does, you get the peas that go ahead and turn out to be a little, what's the word I'm looking for here? A little cold in the middle. And that's actually nice because it's a nice hot exterior with not a cold crunchy like you would expect from it being frozen, but more along the lines of it's a nice hot soft exterior with a cold, with a cooler, I guess is the word, interior that's also still soft. So it's right in that in between. Now before I do that, looking at the fish, it looks like it's about time to flip it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and gently take a spatula. Now it's really nice. Make sure you get it right there. You don't want it to go ahead and burn, but at the same time you want to make sure that you get everything that's needed. So we're going to do this gently, and we're going to flip, and voila! That looks beautiful. That's what you want it to look like. So if you look here closely, you can see the white. Let me see if I got the light on again. Yeah, so you can see the white, and that's exactly what you want. You want the white that looks flaky like that. Now, if it's not looking like that, and it looks still like this, where it's kind of like filmy or see-through-ish, then it's not clearly ready yet. So, again, we put it on for about 3 to 5 minutes, depending on your temperature. Now, I use gas, and I'm using a griddle, a cast iron griddle from my grill. So, take that for what you want. But, either way, I'm using this because the heat is all around better, and everything that you cook on it previously, if you're not familiar with cast iron, retains some of the flavor. And most of the things that I cook on this are chicken, steak, and fish. I never cook with pork or nothing, but this is something I recommend. And then on top of everything else, as a final touch, now I'm not going to tell you to do this tonight, but if you have anything parsley related, like this, I'm kind of cheap. I didn't have time to go out and get fresh parsley like I normally do. But if you do, I recommend going ahead and adding it on as a small touch over top. It gives it a nice little extra bit of nutrition as well as flavor. Now, these are boiling nicely, so I'm going to turn the heat down on those to a simmer so that they can go ahead and start thickening. I mean, they're already starting to thicken, so I mean, that's nice. But, yeah. Now, the pans I use for these are Rachael Ray non-stick. Again, anything you use, recommended. However, if you're ever going to go ahead and boil water or anything else, I always recommend using a little bit of oil no matter what you're cooking. And the reason behind that is the oil goes ahead and keeps the food in question from sticking. So if you're ever cooking like pasta or something and you figure, oh, I'm going to use a little salt in the water, completely unhealthy because the salt adds straight into the noodles as they cook. So instead you should go ahead and use the water, let it go ahead and take the extra few minutes to go ahead and heat up, but add some extra virgin olive oil in there, about a tablespoon or so, and then stir it up. That goes ahead and will mean that when you drain the pasta, the noodles won't stick together as much as they would if you're just using water. Another thing to remember when doing so is to only drain them once. You can rinse them, but that gets off the starchy kind of exterior. But getting rid of the starchy exterior is kind of like getting rid of fish. With fish, you want to go ahead and cook with the skin on. The skin on goes ahead and adds extra nutrition, and then if it's properly cooked, like I'm doing right here, what will end up happening is when you go to eat it, the skin will just peel off, and you'll have a beautiful, delicious, delectable piece of fish. Now, I'm going to add the peas right now. Alright, so I paused for a moment, realized that my peas were not actually open. So, cut them open, and just go ahead and add in about half a bag. The reason about half a bag is when you're on a diet, or you're not, it goes ahead and it pays to go ahead and have a little extra. Half a bag is a little bit more than the serving size. I'm only making for 3 people tonight, hence why I only have 3 pieces of fish. So, let's go ahead and take one more look at this now that it's been a few more minutes. Nice. Alright, so see, it's been a little bit longer. It's falling apart. So, that's actually not too bad. It's a little bit gooey and mushy over here. Stuff here, it's looking nice and delicious. Looking perfect, actually. So I'm going to lower the heat a little bit lower. I'm going to take a little bit of this, and I'm just going to drizzle it. Now, the steam that you're seeing is the result of the citrus. By going ahead and getting the citrus done like that, it makes it more accessible. Now, again, things happen, and people tend to go ahead and like things a little differently. If you like it with a little bit, say, spicier, I would recommend adding some Old Bay into it. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of spice. So, with that being the case, I don't go ahead and cook with Old Bay. However, I also no longer really bake or deep fry or anything of the like. So, there's that. I'm going to take a little bit more of my delightful stuff here, just about a pinch worth. I'm going to add it right on. I normally don't, but like I said, I'm kind of feeling a little unique today. So, we've got this going on here, delightfully. Let's take a look at this. Okay. Turn the heat back up just a bit, just to help with this. It's falling apart even better. So, I normally don't, but I have no problem with it. You can typically see, I did turn the light off for that reason. Now, you might not be able to, but let's hope you can. Right there, it looks white. That's what you want. You want the fish to be white. If it falls apart, that means it's flaking. So, for instance, this piece, albeit smells so good. Unfortunately, you can't smell it, but here's the thing. If you go ahead and you like it, go ahead and leave me a comment. Tell me somewhere along the lines if there's something you want me to cook. I will cook it. If I have a recipe, if I have the ingredients, I'll cook it. If you want me to try something new, something you think would be delicious, let me know. I'll totally try it. Now, again, I cook everything myself. I go ahead and eat everything. I'm going to take this piece, I'm going to walk right over here, and I'm going to put it right on the plate. Now, because I don't expect anyone here to go ahead and complain about it, I'm still going to cook the others the same way, but I'm going to go ahead and show everyone the same truth that everyone else does on all those weird-looking cooking shows. I'm going to take a small little piece here. Nice and flaky. You can see how that falls apart. Delicious. I don't know if you could see me or not. Whoopsie. Yeah. Sorry about that. Again, I don't know if you could see me, but I'll just take another one just in case. So, here's the fresh cooked fish. Hello. To die for. Not too tangy, but has a nice, soft, delicious feel to it. Now remember, my recipe can work with cod. It can work with tilapia. I've used it with catfish, although I usually use a little bit more Szechuan seasoning. And the reason behind the Szechuan is because it gives a kick similar to, well, I suppose you could say it's similar to Old Bay, but not as southern. So the Szechuan goes ahead and is a unique little thing. I use my own cilantro, which I go ahead and put in my grinder and I grind up. But again, to each their own. Please do try my recipe. I recommend it, truly I do. As for this I recommend going ahead and mixing 3 different balsamic vinaigrettes in some way, shape, or form. I do recommend going ahead and letting it sit in the fridge for approximately 3 hours. Don't soak these too long in there, otherwise they soak up the vinegar. Just a small douse, swirl around, pull out. That's all you really need. Now, I turn the heat back up on these, on this one, and we're going to turn it over one more time. It's starting to blacken, so I'm not too sure about that one, but about the blackening part. But seeing as how it's flaked off there, I'm going to take this now that it's heated up, and I'm going to remove this. We're going to gently move this one over here as well, and voila. So then, like I said, for my wife, what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of parsley, and give me a second to open the container, and voila, it is open. And then we're going to just take it and gently sprinkle a little bit over the top to go ahead and give it a little bit nice of a flair. Now again, it's not too much, but I do recommend trying it, especially if you're into cooking for families. The fish here, the way cooked, is extremely healthy. It goes ahead and falls right within the nutritional values. Honestly, you're looking probably at, I wouldn't say, I'm not going to guess at what your calorie content is, but I will calmly tell you that if you're cooking for kids, it's something the kids will absolutely enjoy. By going ahead and cooking this, you're also going ahead and you're saving time and energy, as well as money. So, without further ado, do let me know what you think. I hope to hear back from you, and see you next time.